So when a girl you're dating or even your girlfriend asks you for space, how do you handle it in a way that doesn't push her away for good, but more importantly, gets her reattracted to you and draws her back in? That's what Calvin and I are going to be discussing in today's video. So one of the common things that guys come to us with is situations where they're really into a girl, they're dating her, things are going well, maybe it's their girlfriend, and then the talk comes where she says, I need space. So I'm here with Calvin today. Calvin is a coach of mine. He's been coaching with me for the past year, doing an amazing job with our clients. First off, how's it going, Calvin?
Hey, it's going great, and I'm glad to be here, man.
Cool. And the reason we decided to do this is because Calvin recently was working with a client, and the client had this exact situation where the girl came to him, said she needed space, and Calvin was able to turn it around. And what we thought we would do in this video here is we would give you a little bit of a case study and show you exactly what he did to take this girl who was almost ready to end it with this guy and bring her back in where she was fully invested in the relationship again. We also want to talk about some of the mistakes to avoid when this happens so you don't push her away for good. So I want to give Calvin a chance to set this up a little bit about what happened in this specific situation. And more importantly, as you listen to this, don't just think of this as us talking about his client. Think about the times in your life that you might have gotten this same speech from a woman and how you handled it and maybe how you can handle it differently in the future.
That's right. So with this particular guy, Ethan, I actually had helped him hook up with this really hot girl, Nicole. He was really into her. Then I didn't hear from him for 7 months. Okay. Suddenly he hits me up. Nicole asked for space. So I say, okay, let's break this down. Tell me what's been going on. Really quickly, I ended up seeing that he had made a few big mistakes.
What were some of them?
Number one,
Okay,
he had let go of all of his friends. Okay. All he did now was go to work, come home and sit on the couch and watch TV and text Nicole and try to get attention from Nicole. Okay. That's not what a woman wants. Number two, and this is an interesting one, he had planned 3 big trips with her. One for the next month, one for the month after that, and one for the month after that, all on the calendar. Now, why do you think that's a bad idea, Bobby Rio?
I think that, so it's funny that you bring this whole situation up because I recently worked with a guy very similar where I had helped him get a girlfriend, and then around almost a year later, he contacted me very similar. The girl was pulling away. They had moved in together. Now she was moving out. And as you're listing the various things that he did, not hanging out with his friends, all that sort of stuff, it was like exactly what was going on with the guy that I was working with.
So then he made a third big mistake, and this is the one that just finally pushed her over the edge, kind of that straw that broke the camel's back moment. They were over at her house, and she said, hey, Ethan, why don't you just watch a movie here on the couch? I've been having a really stressful day at work. I just want to go upstairs, take a bath, and read my book. And Ethan said, no, don't leave me downstairs. Let me come sit next to the bathtub and talk to you. And she right then said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I need space.
She's putting too much pressure on her. At that point, the move would have been to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to head out and give you a night by yourself. I'm going to go meet up with some of my friends, or I'm going to go whatever it is, right? He did the complete wrong thing, but mistakes happen. So what happened next?
What happened next was I talked to him about that. And I said, is there anything else you want me to know? He said, now it's been 2 weeks. She had said, don't reach out to me. I'll text you. He hadn't heard from her in 2 weeks. Okay. So before he contacted me, he did one more thing, which I wouldn't have wanted him to do. He had left a few bottles of wine at her house that were his. And so he texted her, and I'll read you the text. He said, do you mind if I come by and pick up some wine? Okay. She texted back, sure. Do you need a box to put it all in? It's your wine. My kitchen was always just storage. Now, this isn't good because it's like she caught on to his plan that he was going to start coming to get wine every few weeks to talk to her. And she's trying to get him to take all the wine at once to cut that cord. So I said to him, before you go over there, we've got to get a good plan together. So what do you think of the situation so far, Bobby?
It sounds like she needs a break. Me and you off camera haven't discussed this. We discussed a lot of our cases. This one we didn't spend a lot of time talking about. From what I'm hearing now, it sounds like she's pulling away. And,
yeah, exactly. So I said to him, okay, first thing we got to do, we got to make sure that when you go over there to pick up that wine, you don't make any mistakes. I said to him, okay, what were you planning to do? If you weren't talking to me right now, what would you be saying when you walked over there? And he said, oh, I'm going to go in there and ask her for clarity. I'm going to ask her if we have a future together, if she still likes me. Ask her what kind of rules should I follow to give her space. Ask her how much can I text her? How much can I see her? How many more days of space does she need? To ask her if we should cancel the trip to the beach next month and the trips after that, or should I keep the reservations booked?
As you're saying this, listen, that's a natural reaction. I can remember when my college girlfriend broke up with me. I did all of that. I just constantly wanted to talk about it and get clarity and know her feelings. Yeah. And in hindsight, that's like the absolute worst thing you can do. And if you're watching this and you're going through this with a woman, do not feel the need. Talking about it will never get you what you want, right? There's a saying that we have, change her mood, not her mind. You're never going to logically talk her into liking you again, which is why everything we teach is all based on changing her mood, changing her feelings about you, right? Let's keep going through this, but I can already see that he's not, it's a good thing he came to you. Let's put it that way.
It's a good thing he came to me, right? Before he did that, I said, look, those are the natural instincts. If you do that, you're going to go over to a girl who wants space from you, and you're going to end with an official breakup. So here's what you need to do. I said, before you even go over there, right? He still had a couple of days before the day he was going to pick up the wine. I said, let's get your social life on track so that when you go over there, you can subvert her expectations. She's expecting you to go over there and just ask questions about her, try to see her, try to be over there as long as possible. Instead, let's have you go over there, be really fun and charming, really flirty, but totally in a hurry, ready to grab the wine and casually mentioning fun things you've been doing with friends and a fun social life that's developing for you. Okay. That's going to let her know, whoa, I thought I could keep Ethan on hold indefinitely and make up my mind about him. Now I see this guy's growing in another direction now, and I may not be able to get him back if I don't try to get him back right now. Right? Give her a little bit of fear of you slipping away. Now, what do you think of that, Bobby?
I think it's great. The only thing that I would always warn clients about, and maybe you warned Ethan here, is that girls aren't stupid, right? So if you go over there and you're like, oh, I made all these new friends and I'm going out, it could totally come across like you're trying to show her that, and that's a danger. And I always tell guys, you got to do it very subtly. Any kind of jealousy or any kind of, hey, I'm cooler now, has to be done very subtly. That's to the guys watching this.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I would point out. And I'm sure you pointed that out to Ethan when you were coaching him, but I just want to be clear to the guys watching this. That has to be subtle.
No, thanks a lot, Bobby. And that's true. So what I usually do with guys is I ask them about their life and then I write them a flirting script to go with it. And I always like to point out, I'm not pulling from some magic idea bank that only dating coaches know of. Your life, whoever's watching this right now, your life can be turned into fun flirtation if you just learn how to do it, right? So I said to him, okay, is there anything you've been doing lately? And he said, laying on the bed, screaming and crying. And I said, okay, first idea, maybe don't mention that, okay? What else do you have that you could be doing? He said, nothing. And I was like, we got to dig deeper. It turned out he's actually a member of a country club. And so I Googled the website of the country club and I was like, look, dude, they've got activities going on. They've got tennis. They've got a poker tournament. Why don't you start going to some of these activities? So basically I pulled his arm and I made him go do it. So he goes one day to play tennis and he ends up having a decent time. And I was like, make sure after the tennis, you stay and have some drinks, meet some people. Then the next day he signed up for a poker tournament. Okay. So now he's got a couple things going on that give him something to talk about besides just, hey, Nicole, how's it been going? When can I see you again?
Yeah.
All right. Then very importantly, and this I couldn't have predicted, he tells me he has a trip to Las Vegas planned for the next week. And I'm like, now that's what I'm talking about. Who are you going with? And he says, oh, I'm going alone to meet a client and close a business deal. And I said, okay, listen, that's not going to cut it either here. All right. Call some friends, try to turn this trip to Vegas into something fun. And he was like, I don't really know if any of my friends can drop everything. And I said, do you know anybody who lives in the Vegas area? And he said, actually, I do. I just haven't talked to them in a while. And I was like, dude, this is what you have to do. If you're asking me for my advice, pick up the phone, get in touch with people you know in Vegas, tell them to meet up with you that week. And now, boom, we're telling the truth when we say you're going to Vegas with friends. Instantly, this guy's got a great life, but he's not just sitting around crying about Nicole. Now, there's one more thing I did to prep him when he went over there. I said, we got to have some fun banter, right? You can't be the guy who just goes in and asks a question about her, gets the answer, and asks her another bland question about her, right? An example I wanted to give him was, I said, what are you planning to ask her when you walk in? He says, I could ask her what TV shows she's been watching. And I was like, ooh, we got to do better than that. So the example I gave him of what not to do is, what TV shows have you been watching? Oh, cool. So how has work been going? Oh, cool. No woman likes question, answer, question, right? So I said, okay, I got it. Here's the thing. When a woman gives you an answer to your question, you've got to play with that answer before you move on. Either have an opinion about it, exaggerate it, turn it into a fun game or a challenge, do something fun with it. So I said, what kind of shows does she watch? Stop thinking only in surface level generalities when you're with a woman, right? Let's get to specifics. And he says, I know she binge watches a lot of crime shows, true crime shows. And I said, that's already 100% better. What else? He says, she subscribes to this podcast called Crime Junkies, where women discuss true crimes. And so I Googled it and I was like, okay, cool. The hosts are named Ashley and Britt. They've got this whole thing. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm ready to write you the script. Okay. So here's what I started doing, Bobby. I gave him this to go in with. So he walks in and he says this. So what shows have you been binging? Let me guess. You've been indulging your crime junkie addiction. She's going to say yes. Yeah. Then you solved any cases yet? Let her reply. Then say, if I ever witness a murder, I'm not even going to call the police. I'm just going to call you. Yeah, I think you'd be able to solve the case. You better be able to after all those hours of binge watching. Now, what I'm doing here, Bobby, is I'm creating an us vibe, which is something you teach a lot, right? Instead of just asking questions about her, now we're making a game of it. He's in the story as the guy making sure she solves real cases. All right. So then I have him build on that. I say, now, don't just talk about her. Share a fun anecdote about yourself. So I had him say, yeah, I was watching a true crime show the other day. It was the most pathetic thing. It was so low budget. They'd only filmed like 3 scenes of stock footage, and they had to keep recycling the same 3 scenes over and over. At the beginning of the episode, I was thinking the boyfriend did it. Then they introduced all this other stuff. And at the end, I spent 52 minutes watching the show to see that the boyfriend did it. So it definitely teaches me to trust my instincts.
Yeah.
So again, look, I'm not an expert at true crime shows, but I've seen enough to know that they recycle a lot of the same shots. They're very low budget. And what I want to show guys there is, dude, I'm not an expert. I just had an opinion and I wrote it for Ethan and it worked. She ended up cracking up. She was into the conversation. So all you got to do is really tap into your own memories. You actually have opinions, even if you think you don't. You actually have a point of view that you can make into a fun little game of a conversation.
I want you to keep going, but I want to jump in because if people are like, why is this important? Or why is he having this? What makes crime conversations good? The point is that, like you said, you're going in there. And one of the things when you're trying to win back a girl, like we talked about, is the mistake guys make is they go in and they want to talk about that. Really, what you want to do is you want to be that fun, flirty, cool guy that you were when she first met you, not the weak, needy guy. By not addressing anything and having this fun back and forth conversation, it's showing her like, hey, I'm still this cool guy. You haven't crushed me to the point where I'm just weak and needy. That's the purpose of what Calvin is having him do. It's not that there's this magic lines that he's saying. It's the sub-communication here.
As you teach, Bobby, we got to get the guys knowing that women care more about the emotions they feel with you than the logical content of what you're saying. Yeah. So even if you have the best thing to say about the relationship, having the intense, serious conversation about the relationship is going to suck because it's bad emotions. But going in there and talking about something fun and random like Crime Junkies is going to create fun emotions. And she's going to remember those fun emotions more than anything that you said. And she's going to be like, why did I ask for space from Ethan? This guy's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I have him keep going a little bit. I always like to prepare guys I'm coaching for if she says yes or if she says no. So I prepared him in case she says no, she hasn't been binging crime shows. Here's what I had for him to say. Yeah. So in case she said that she had not been binging crime shows, I prepared this alternative answer for him. I had him say, oh, really? Wow. You're letting the whole crime junkie community down right now. They're going to be very disappointed. In fact, I may be obligated to tell them. I might have to report you to the podcast message board. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, if you break your sobriety, you got to come clean and tell them about it in AA. In Crime Junkies, you stop watching crime dramas, you're not doing your civic duty to keep the neighborhood safe. You got to confess it to the podcast. Ashley and Britt are going to be very disappointed. They're probably going to want to have words with you. All right. So now we've cemented the fact that we're having a fun conversation.
Yeah.
So now after a little bit more of that, I move him into actually asking about the wine. I want him to be the one who stops the small talk and goes for the wine. So it doesn't seem like he's trying to stick around.
Yeah,
and talk
you gotta. It's always better to leave on a high note. 100% agree there.
Exactly. So I had him go, now let me at that wine. Let me see it. Yeah, here we go. Wish I had this wine last weekend. We ended up doing a doubles tennis tournament at the club, and my partner Steve was a real beast. We beat like 4 different pairs before we finally got out, and we were wanting to celebrate. I wish we would have had this wine. Yeah, we ended up doing kind of a martini tasting with all of our victims from the tournament. You'd be surprised how many martinis there are at the club. So notice my tone of voice. Notice the kind of stream of consciousness feel of it. He just mentioning the wine makes him think of how I wished he had the wine when he was having this fun tennis and martinis the other night, which I'd insisted to do. So now he's dropping hints subtly that he has this fun, exciting life that's growing without her. What do you think so far, Bobby?
No, it's good. You circled back to what I had said about doing it in a more natural way. So he used the wine to bring it in, which is way more natural than him going, hey, so I've been hanging out at the country club drinking with buddies. It was like, you had him do it in a natural way. So you answered my objection earlier of how to bring it up naturally. So that was cool.
Yeah, great. So then I actually did it one more time. Then I used the poker tournament he was signed up for that night to segue into the trip to Vegas. And I had him go, first I had him tease her a little bit more. I had him say, so how about you, Nicole? You've been getting out and playing any sports? Don't tell me you've just been in the house reading the whole time. And of course, we knew she was going to say, no, I've been in the house reading. So then I had him say, Nicole, what am I going to do with you? You know what I'll do? One day, I'll do it in secret. You won't know it's me. I'll drop off a cute little puppy dog right at your door. You'll have to adopt him. Then you'll have to start walking him every day. He'll whine at the door, and it'll finally pry you away from your books. And you know what is the best thing about it is you'll never know it was me. It was a perfect crime. And then obviously she's going to laugh and say, but I know it's you because you just told me. You just confessed. And I said, if she says that, just say, I didn't say anything. What did I do? Right, totally deny it. So a little more fun. Then I had him say, all right, got it. Grab the wine. Now that he's got the wine, I told him to make his exit and say, gotta run. I gotta get over to a poker tournament tonight at the club. I'm headed to Vegas next week. I gotta get my skills up with some poker practice tonight to be ready for those Vegas Sharks. So now we'd subtly transitioned into mentioning the upcoming plans. And of course, he said, wait, Vegas? Who are you going to Vegas with? And I had him say, oh, my friends Matt and Scott and a couple of other friends. Should be pretty good. Anyways, gotta run. All right. What do you think so far, Bobby?
No, I think it's good. And I like the way that you thought out everything for him, right? Because I think that the more guys, I mean, listen, there's make or break moments with girls, right? And not every situation is a make or break moment. But when you're going back after sort of a breakup, it is a very important moment. And in these moments, it's good to play what's going to happen. Because if you go in there and you wing it, you're not prepared. You don't know what you're going to say. It's very easy to start blubbering out your feelings. And all of a sudden you're talking about how much you miss her and what happened and why did, but when you have a script almost, and I know that some guys are like, I don't want a script, but in certain situations, you don't want to mess up. And these are the kind of situations where if you can plan out, okay, this is what's going to happen. She's going to say this. If you say this, she's most likely to say this. And by always bringing it back to the funness, the flirtiness, and away from blubbering out your feelings, you're breaking all her expectations and you're having her go, whoa, this isn't what I was expecting when he came over today. And as we always say, when she's expecting you to zig, it's time to zag. And that's exactly what you have him doing here, which is great.
Yeah. So get this. He goes in, he executes it all perfectly. And as he's walking out the door, she kisses him. Literally, the woman who asked for space 2 weeks ago and then didn't even think to text him for 2 weeks, kisses him before he walks out the door. It's counterintuitive. It's because now she's, whoa, this guy's fun. Whoa, this guy's off to share his new fun personality with other people, not me. Let me get a piece of this guy before he walks out of my life.
Yeah, amazing.
Great. So that was our first little victory.
And I want to jump in real fast because a lot of guys make the mistake. And I hope I don't even think you were probably expecting her to kiss him. So you might not have prepared him for this. But I want to jump in because I've worked with clients where something like this happens and they immediately go, oh, game over. I got her back. And then go back to their old self, which is the kiss of death. So I hope you warned him because I've seen so many guys blow it when they get a good signal. They think, oh, it worked. Bobby got me or Calvin got me or the scrambler worked. It's just getting her back. You got her on the fishing line. Now you got to fully reel her back in. So keep going and let's hear what happened next.
So he reported that back to me. I was ecstatic, right? And she started texting. And I said exactly what you just said, Bobby. I said, all right, now we've got to have some really good texts, okay? I said, what are you thinking of texting her? Here are 2 texts that he was thinking of sending. Have a good Monday. Just checking in. What do you think of those texts, Bobby?
Considering I've done about 50 videos that specifically say don't send checking in texts, and he literally has the word checking in the text, you could probably guess my opinion of that.
Exactly. These are needy texts because they force her to do all the heavy lifting and babysit you through text by being interesting for you. I said, no, we're going to text her now fun little snippets of the Ethan show. Every time you text with her, Ethan, I want you doing something fun, something social. You better not be going to work and then coming home and watching TV on the couch. So the trip to Vegas comes. Now I start writing all the texts he's sending during this important period, and I start using the Vegas trip as subject matter for the texts. I'm going to share a couple of examples. Okay, so Ethan and a couple of guys that he rounded up who were acquaintances in Vegas, now they're good friends because of this fun get together they had. They went out to see Michael Jackson's Cirque du Soleil in Vegas, right? So apparently it's probably pretty cool. A bunch of acrobats dressed like Michael Jackson. They're doing like the moonwalk. They're doing the anti-gravity tilt from Smooth Criminal, all to Michael Jackson music, all right? So he tells me about it, and I'm like, okay, tell me a little bit about the show. What stood out to you? Okay, I got it. So I had Ethan send Nicole this text. Saw Michael Jackson's Cirque du Soleil last night. The guy was legit, down to the infamous white glove. My new goal, become a moonwalking expert. What do you think of that, Bobby?
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. The key there is it's not begging for a response. And that's like the key when you're texting is you make a statement that doesn't require an answer. Because when you do that, it's not, hey, so what about you? Or you're not begging a response, which is, we always talk about like breaking rules and being the higher status. When you do, that's really what you're doing, right? You're saying whether you reply or not doesn't matter to me. And that's the attitude you want to convey.
Exactly. So Nicole wrote back right away, and she wrote, I love Michael Jackson. I am beyond jealous. Okay, this was going great. So what I did next was I thought, I want to take this text now in a different direction. And I had him write this text. I said, Ethan, send her this. Yeah, it was awesome. Hearing Beat It made me feel like I was back in the 80s with my long hair and baggy clothes, ready to watch Growing Pains. Now, reason I did that, to some of you watching, that text may mean nothing, But Nicole and Ethan were both teenagers in the 80s, right? They're in their 50s now. They're divorced, dating again, right? So since they were teenagers in the 80s, they've got something really important that we need to talk about. It's called nostalgia, and it's a great ingredient to add into your text, okay? You never want to hit the same note too many times. We'd already had the Michael Jackson show was awesome note. That note was completely hit. I wanted to throw a new flavor into this next text, so I dipped into 80s nostalgia. Now, Bobby, what do you have to say about nostalgia? Isn't that something you teach?
Oh yeah, nostalgia is great because it's an emotional time capsule, right? You're bringing back a feeling. I always say my favorite topics in general are early childhood memories and stuff because it just creates that playground vibe with a woman. So yeah, definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So it really worked with Nicole. She loved it, and she wrote back, I would kill to see you with long hair. Don't get me started on the 80s. I was obsessed with Madonna. All right. So then I had Ethan text back, I think you still have a little Madonna in you. What was your biggest fashion guilty pleasure? And so then Nicole texted back, headbands. I still have some of them in storage. That was perfect, Ethan. Now stop responding for the rest of the day. That's it. What do you think about that move, Bobby?
I think it's good because again, you're giving her a glimpse of the fun and then taking it away. The takeaway is it's people watch, and one of the things that I want to just throw out there is people might go, you're playing games, or why are you having guys play games? And it's because that's what the woman likes. She likes that. That gives her that. If he didn't do that, it would be like, oh, okay. And he kept texting her. She might like it for a few texts, and then that adrenaline rush she was getting, that those butterflies she was having, is going to disappear. It's right. We're just showing guys how to give the woman what she actually responds to, what she wants. A little bit of mystery, a little bit of suspense, a little bit of, oh, where did he go? When am I going to hear from him again? That's what chemistry, that's what creates chemistry. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how people say, oh, this is playing games. Dude, games are fun. Ever since we were kids, we were seeking games to play. And
Yeah.
this game, everybody wins at. She has fun, you have fun.
That's a rant, but because I put out all these TikTok and YouTube videos and I get the comments of games and hey, and it's like you just said it 100%. If you take away the game, it's called a game, right? And it's like this thing that we all know you have to play. It's like, why do you fight it? Why do you complain about it? Have fun with it, right? Like when you understand it and you understand that it's all a game, right? It's just like, and you turn it into a game and not this thing that you resent doing, and you have fun with it and you learn a little bit of the psychology of what makes it work. It's a really fun game to play, right? Because you're giving her what she wants. So,
exactly. You always want to be the one who, I won't necessarily say gets bored of the conversation first, but be the one who gets satisfied by the conversation first. Had your dose of Nicole for the day. Now get back to actually living your life with your new friends in Vegas. So the next day, I gave him a homework assignment to keep it fun. I said, your homework assignment today, go out there and take a picture of the most interesting slot machine that you find out in the Vegas casinos. So he comes back. He and Nicole both really like Game of Thrones. Most of us do. And found this really cool Game of Thrones themed slot machine called King's Landing. And it has the Red Keep Castle on the front and pictures of all the Game of Thrones characters and stuff. And in the picture behind it, you can see like the luxurious carpet of the Vegas casino. I'm like, okay, great. Here's what we do. Here's the text you send Nicole today. I told him to send this. I found the slot machine you'd get addicted to. Just that, and send it. Let her wonder what the slot machine was. What do you think about using a little mystery like this, Bobby Rio?
Yeah, and what's also good is that sometimes when you do things like this, I would say it's almost like a temperature check, right? Because like we talked about in the previous video that I did with you, right? Where we talked about a girl on vacation sending one of your clients a text. And like, how is he going to respond? When you send a girl this kind of text, you're also looking like, how is she going to respond? Or is she going to not respond? You told your client to do and just do the thumbs up or the love button and not respond. It gives you a good feel of where am I at here? How much investment am I getting from her? So,
yeah. Okay. So he sent her that text. I found the slot machine you'd get addicted to. Feeling the suspense, she wrote back really quickly. And she wrote back, what is it? I said, okay, Ethan, now just send her the picture of the Game of Thrones King's Landing slot machine. He sent it to her. She instantly writes back tons of LOLs and laughing emojis. Those emojis that are laughing so hard that they're crying. right? And I said, perfect. Now stop texting for the rest of the day. You've had your fun emotional spike. Be
Yep.
satisfied with it. Get back to your friends. So what do you think of that one, Bobby Rio?
I think it's good. It also, you do, part of the advantage of being in Vegas is her going, what is he doing? Who is he with? I know I was in Vegas 2 weeks ago with Rob, and the entire time I was out there, my girl was, who you with? Was there girls? That's what's going through their head. And you want to allow that, right? You don't need to encourage it, but you also don't need to appease it. You don't need to go, hey, it's just me and my friends. Let her wonder. They like that, right? They like that little bit of jealousy, that little, is he at a strip club? Is he with, let them have that little fun in their own head.
Exactly. Okay. So we keep the text going like that for a few more days. He comes back from Vegas. Okay. No sooner does Ethan come back from Vegas than Nicole says, hey, come to this party with me on Saturday night. He goes to the party, and straight away, she's in front of all of her friends, fully acting like Ethan is her boyfriend, introducing him to people, touching him throughout the night, kissing him. And sure enough, he has her completely back. He doesn't then say, wait, so are we back together or not? He just takes the win quietly and starts acting like the boyfriend again.
Amazing. Yeah. I hope you gave him a good talking of, hey, listen, don't slip back into your old ways. One of the things that I was, this whole thing started with this idea of when a woman's pulling away, right? And you did an amazing job of the tactical way of getting her back, right? You told them what to say, what to do, all of that. But there's a deeper level there that I think the coaching really was powerful, is that she left because he just wasn't a fun, interesting guy anymore. And this happens to a lot of us when we get into relationships or we get comfortable. It's like we said at the very beginning, he stopped hanging out with his friends. And more than any of the stuff you did to get her back, you got him involved in hanging out at his country club and making friends. You got him going out to Vegas, and instead of going out and sitting in a hotel room by himself on a business trip, meeting up with friends and going to Cirque du Soleil. And like that on a deeper level just makes him a more attractive guy, which is, I think, is an underrated aspect to working with a coach, is that it's not always just about getting the girl back. It's about making you a more attractive person holistically. Your entire being becomes more attractive because you're doing things that are naturally attractive to women, right? Going out and hanging out with friends, taking trips. Now, sure, the other stuff was super important, the flirting and all that you helped him with, but even just encouraging him to get his social life back in order, to become a little bit more masculine in terms of going and playing poker and those sort of things that guys stop doing when they're in a relationship or they're really into a girl and they focus all their attention on her, which women don't want. They want you to still be a man. They like the man who's going and playing poker and hanging out with his friends and all that sort of stuff. So I think, to me, that was coming to my mind, is that's a hidden benefit that guys don't realize with coaching, is it also just makes you a more attractive person naturally.
Yeah. Thanks, Bobby Rio. That's what I do like to do for guys, and just upgrade them as men so that they're just naturally attractive. Yes, a lot of it does start with me writing scripts for them to say, but my goal is to get them to the point that they don't need a script anymore, because they're actually authentically living the life of a fun, high-value guy that's going to be attracted to a woman.
No, 100%. I want to give guys a chance, because I know there's people listening that are saying, man, this is what I need, right? Whether it's I need somebody to get me back out into the field, being the best version of myself, or maybe you're going through a specific situation with a woman and you want that guidance. You want somebody to not let you mess it up, because like we said at the very beginning, the intuitive response when a woman is pulling away is to go further with the confessions of feelings or the talking or the what can I do to make this work? And none of that actually has any positive net effect on getting her back. It's all the stuff that you talked about. So guys that are interested in working with you, we put a link below where we have a little bit of a video of me and you talking about the process of coaching. I really encourage guys to take a look, because as you can see, it's very easy to mess this up when if you don't know what to do. And even sometimes, more importantly, sometimes guys, they maybe go through a course of mine or they watch some YouTube videos and they go, oh, I know what to do. You know that knowing what to do and then doing it in the moment is not always And which is what coaches really help you with. They allow you to go, hey, you know what to do. Let's make sure you actually do it. Let's avoid all the things you're naturally going to want to do and do the things you know you should do. Any final thoughts you want to leave the viewers with, or any words of encouragement or things you think that you can help them with?
Yeah, listen, I've helped guys in all sorts of situations. I would just love to hear about your life and help get it better, help you get the woman that you really want. I love a challenge. I love finding the authentic things about a guy that need to be highlighted so that a woman can see them better. Too many guys just fall into going through the motions. And one more thing I'll say is dating is supposed to be fun, and not just for the girl. It's supposed to also be fun for you too. So I want to get you having fun, enjoying your life, so dating doesn't have to feel like pulling teeth. And so you can just authentically be that fun light that walks into the room that she wants to see again.
Yeah, totally. So check it out. We have a little bit information below about working with Calvin. Also, leave us a comment. Let us know what you would like to see us cover in future videos. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future ones.